All right, folks, today on r/IDontWorkHereLady, OP is minding their business, getting groceries, and bam. Karen literally assaults OP for, get this, not knowing where the coffee is. Like, really? Alrighty, let's dive in. I stumbled upon this subreddit not too long ago, but reading some of these stories has reminded me of an encounter I had about 7 years ago. I was keeping a very detailed diary at that point, trauma therapy related, so I have all the details logged as well as all the info I got afterwards. A little bit of background is in order here. I grew up in a very abusive household. Berating, gaslighting, emotional blackmailing, hitting, and screaming were all on a daily basis for the first 23 years of my life, until I finally saved up enough money and mustered enough courage to leave that hellhole of a place. I moved to a different town, about 2 hours by train, and found myself a small apartment and a quiet job as an office assistant. I also started therapy as soon as I settled in, to become more of a person instead of the big pile of poo that my parents made me believe I was. Unpacking all of the baggage wasn't easy, and in the first 2 years of therapy, I was a wreck. I was high functioning, but was still a wreck. I was diagnosed with PTSD, depression, anxiety, and a couple of other things as well. I was fortunate enough to have such understanding colleagues, and at least I didn't have to worry about my job or income on top of everything. With that out of the way, let's get to the actual encounter. It was about 10 months after my move. One Saturday, after a really long crying episode, I went to the fridge to find out it was empty, save for a lone pickle in a jar, and I needed to go get some groceries if I didn't want to live on crackers and pickle water. I totally wasn't in any shape to go anywhere where there might be other people, but it was my fault for postponing the trip for so long, so I have just pushed myself to get dressed, brush my teeth and hair, grab a shopping basket, and go to the nearest supermarket, which was incidentally the same chain I worked at when I was still living with my parents in the other town, which really wasn't surprising since the chain is in like every big town. So I walked into the shop already shaking and anxious and trying not to attract any attention to myself whatsoever. I grab a bit of produce, a carton of milk, several packets of ham and cheese, and some yogurt. So I tell myself mentally that I am almost done now. I just need a bag of sugar, some pasta, and ketchup, and I can bolt to the register. While telling myself this, someone taps me on the shoulder and I'm immediately triggered, meaning most of my systems shut down to not do something stupid. I slowly turn around to see an angry-looking woman that could literally be my mother, which is acting as another trigger, who is nervously tapping her foot on the floor. Can I help you? Which I managed to get out through the fog because my polite system stays operational at all times. Karen, about time you noticed me. I've been talking to you for about 3 damn minutes by now. Where is that coffee that is supposed to be on sale? It took me a while to process what she was saying and formulate an answer. I don't know. I don't drink coffee. Karen, what do you mean you don't drink coffee? I didn't ask you to drink it, you dimwit. I asked you where I can buy it. At this point, the lady is practically screaming at me, at which point I start to back away from her, and then everything goes blank. The next thing I knew, I was staring at a hospital ceiling with a throbbing pain at the back of my head. A nurse leaned over me asking me how I was feeling, to which I asked her what day and time it is and what the hell happened. She frowns and says, "It's Sunday 8 p.m., and apparently you hit that shelf pretty hard." I just let myself fall asleep again because I seriously wasn't in any shape to think straight at that point. On Monday, my therapist came, helped me call my workplace since I definitely wasn't coming to work for a couple days. Then 2 police officers came in to take my testimony and ask if I wanted to press charges. I was confused. Did they mean like actually suing someone? For what? Apparently, after I started backing away from the woman, I shut down for good and started frantically pleading with her to please not hurt me, while she continued to scream and close in on me. Eventually, I couldn't step back any further, and she got so upset that she grabbed my shirt and yanked me towards her. At that point, I instinctively reacted by pushing her away with as much force as I could. Since she didn't expect retaliation, she lost her balance, let go of my shirt, and we both went backwards. She landed on the tile floor, bruising her butt, while I hit the shelf behind me head first. The security guard and one of the employees got there at about the same time, so they saw us fight and fall. The security guy went to help the Karen, who was still screaming at the top of her lungs that she wants me fired for being rude. Meanwhile, I was curled up on the floor, hands around my bleeding head, crying and promising, "I'll be good. Just don't hurt me anymore." Anyway, the police and paramedics came. The officers scooped up Karen after seeing the camera footage, while paramedics scooped me up and got me to the hospital with a fantastic brain concussion. It turned out that the Karen was originally from the same town as me and saw me working at the supermarket there regularly, so when she happened to be in a different town, it didn't occur to her that I was not working in that particular store. And since she was somehow acquainted with my mother, who most likely told her what a piece of crap I am, she treated me accordingly. Or at least that's my conclusion. To this day, I'm not aware of any other interaction between us. I ended up pressing the charges after consulting my therapist. I think Karen got charged with assault, destroying property, and something I don't really remember. I didn't bother writing down the other stuff in my diary. She ended up in jail for 2 years since I got a head injury, and my lawyer didn't miss the opportunity to throw in my mental health as well. I didn't set foot in that supermarket for at least a year afterwards. I just bought a new shopping basket and went elsewhere. When I eventually did go back, I ran into that employee that was there during the incident, and they told me a couple of details that the police and doctors omitted, like the part where I was crying and begging on the floor. I've had a couple more encounters with Karens after that in various places, but by that time I was fortunately way better off mentally, so I never broke down like that again in public. Now I'm able to write about this at least anonymously without freaking out. Okay, what in the actual hell? Can we take a moment to process that whirlwind of a story? I feel like I've been on a round trip of the entire universe in just one sitting. I mean, here we have our storyteller just trying to get through a tough day and then, bam, out of nowhere, she's slapped with the fury of an unhinged Karen. I swear, folks, some people's determination to find a problem where there isn't one is truly remarkable. You would think when someone is so visibly distressed, any reasonable person might back off. But no, not our Karen. She's out here pushing the envelope of human decency right off the table. And honestly, isn't it fascinating how folks make the jump from seeing a familiar face in a store to assuming they must work there? I've run into my dentist at the grocery store, but I didn't ask him to give me a quick root canal next to the oranges. But all jesting aside, let's address the elephant in the room. The courage it took for our storyteller to share this, to press charges, and to face her trauma head-on is nothing short of heroic. The universe threw her a wild pitch, and she stood her ground. That's the kind of strength that deserves a standing ovation. So remember, the next time you're out shopping, keep your eyes peeled for lurking Karens and remember the golden rule of any store. Check the name tags before asking for help. And to our brave storyteller, thank you for sharing your story. We're with you and we're cheering you on. Hey, wait! Before you go off chasing after your next internet rabbit hole, give that like button a quick little smack. And if you're feeling particularly adventurous today, why not dance with the subscribe button? Join our band of misfits here and let's share the laughter. Anyways, stay safe out there in that crazy world. Much love. Peace.